I met a girl last year in one of my classes at U of H. We hooked up a couple of times, but she was never interested in anything more than that. I was, but after she introduced me to a friend of hers as this guy I'm fucking, I knew I only had myself to blame for any hurt feelings. After our class ended, she pretty much just stopped responding to my texts. I have enough self-respect that I didn't hound her too much after the first couple of weeks of no response. But then, one night, about 2 months later, she texted me, "What are you dong RN?" I assume she meant doing. And at first I was like, okay, on one hand, fuck this chick, right? She made me feel like an asshole, and now she's gonna text me out of the blue and act like nothing happened. Then on the other hand, she was the only girl I'd slept with in the last year, and I didn't want to let my pride get in the way of potentially hooking up again. So I texted her back, but I didn't want to seem too eager. So I waited 5 whole minutes. I wanted the text I sent to be funny, but also a little dirty to sort of hint at the fact that I was willing to chuck my pride out the window for a chance to get with her again, but not too willing. Plus, we had kind of a history of dirty texting, so I texted back, "Just stroking my dong." Which I liked because it playfully called out her typo while also mentioning my dick. She quickly responded with an eggplant and a smiley face. And for the next 2 minutes, I mulled over how to reply. I didn't want to take too long because I didn't want her to think I was putting too much thought into it, but I also didn't want to text something I'd regret. Responding with an emoji seemed appropriate since she sent emojis, but actual text seemed more inviting somehow. In the end, I decided to just say, "What's up?" It seemed sufficiently detached and yet furthered the conversation more than just an emoji. But then, just as I pressed send, she sent me another message. They crossed paths in the ether. But hers showed up first, and hers was a picture of her titties with the caption, "Stroke it to this?" with a question mark. Needless to say, I started masturbating furiously. No girl had ever sent me a picture of her titties before. Maybe I'm old or lame, I don't know, but this was new territory. I felt like I had to send her a dick pic, but, I mean, that was a given, but I also needed to respond to the titties first. I couldn't just let that go uncommented on. And I had to do it fast, too. I couldn't wait 5 minutes on this guy. So I texted, "Wow!" And then a blushing emoji. And then, "I will!" with an exclamation mark. I was on the fence about the exclamation mark, but I really went for it because I really was. But then, just a minute after I'd sent it, she sent another message with a picture of her bush. Now, no text, just bush. It was a good picture, too. She had, like, pulled her panties down and took in the picture from, like, an upward angle, somehow. So I could see, like, her whole stomach, under part of the titties, all the way down to the top of her panties, pulled down just beneath her bush. The first thought that went through my mind was, wow, her arms must be really long. But then I was like, okay, now I definitely need to send her a dick pic. All right, 2 dicks pics. But I also had to respond to the bush. It seemed rude somehow not to comment on it. My response had to be dirty, though. I couldn't just say, "Wow," again. She had upped the ante visually, so I felt like I had to up the ante text-wise. I first wrote, "I wanna fuck that little pussy." with no punctuation. It seemed sufficiently aggressive and was in fact a true expression of my actual feelings. I considered using another exclamation point, but ultimately I felt like not using one conveyed the sense that I was too excited not to bother with punctuation. But right as I was about to press send, I had a last-second change of heart. And I replaced it with, you're making me so hard, RN. With no punctuation, again, none. Basically, I realized that the message about fucking her little pussy was just too honest and revealing. I didn't want her to know how badly I wanted to get with her again. I didn't want her to know how often I thought about her, or that when she'd cut me off months earlier, I cried about it like actual tears. And I was really stoned at the time, so I think that might have something to do with it. But she was just so unavailable. It's really a turn on. Anyways, I think saying that I was hard was probably an inferior message than telling her I wanted to fuck her, but she was just wary enough to put my heart out there again, so I went with it. But now that was out of the way, I had to send some dick pics. The first one was really easy. I just took a close-up of my dick. I went and I stood next to my bed, like with the front of my thighs pressed against the mattress, and sort of like my junk pushed out, like just enough to avoid getting my belly in the shot too much. I pulled the comforter back because like the white sheet underneath made for like a nice contrast. You know? So I took a few shots, some where I was like holding it, and some where I was like not. In the end, I decided on one where I wasn't holding it because my dick isn't like big enough that I can really like grasp it in a commanding way with like, you know, there's still be enough showing for like a good, impressive pic. But it was like a good shot right above, kind of at an angle, so you could like see my balls a little bit. I had rather fortuitously just shaved my balls a couple of days before, so they were thankfully still in action mode. Sending both these messages only took 2 minutes, so I was doing real good on the time front. The second picture was another story. What else could I send besides a close-up of my dick? Should I like send a picture of a hairy asshole? Or like, I don't think she'd find that particularly sexy. Or like, imagine my face? That'd be worse. So in the end, I settled on a picture of my shirtless torso and dick, pretty much trying to mimic the picture she sent me. Now that one took a little bit of time to get right through. I had to lie down on my bed. I tried standing up, but my arms were not long enough. I kept thinking of that Seinfeld episode where Jerry sees his girlfriend trying to open the pickle jar naked, and then he has to break up with her because he can't get the image out of his head. It was just too real. So I looked all lumpy and weird. And so I lied down over the bed. My stomach looked better lying down, but I still couldn't get the angle right. I kept getting my taint in the picture. To get a good shot of both my junk and my torso, I had to keep sucking in my gut. And I realized after a while I was holding my breath every time I took the picture, and I was getting really lightheaded. So I eventually settled on one that wasn't great. My balls were only half in the shot. My stomach looked a little too fat. I deleted a better one in frustration, but there was no going back now. So I just said fuck it, and I sent it. Ended up being 6 whole minutes between the first and second pics, which kind of shocked me because I would have sworn it was no longer than 3, but 6 minutes was probably about 4 minutes too long. While I was taking and deleting pictures of my taint, she responded to the first pic with a message saying, and then a kitty cat, and a wave. But after the second dick pic, she didn't say anything. I waited for an hour and then texted her, hey, with a blushing emoji. I immediately regretted that. It's now been 2 months since that went down. And I don't know if it was the second dick pic or my lame message or her cold, unfleeting demon heart, but for some reason she left me hanging. I'm still not sure if I should wait and see if she texts me again or if I should try and reach out to her. Well, I don't know. I don't want to seem too desperate.